Don't try to with me.
Now, what did your mom say?
I'm not trying to with you.
This boy is 8-year-old Ricky Tokars, who once had what many would call a picture-perfect life. He lived in the peaceful suburb of East Marietta, Georgia, with his loving family. His younger brother Mike, their devoted mother Sarah, and their successful father Fred, a high-profile attorney. The family appeared happy, sharing joyful moments together, particularly during holidays. November 25, 1992, the Tokars family joined Sarah's extended family, the Ambruscos, for Thanksgiving in Florida. It was a cherished tradition, full of laughter and love. Fred, as usual, was busy with work and had to leave for a meeting in Alabama, so he told Sarah he would return home separately. Little did Sarah and her boys know, this Thanksgiving would be their last moment of normalcy. After their Thanksgiving trip, Sarah and the boys embarked on their 8-hour drive back home. Late that night, a terrifying event unfolded. Police received a frantic call about 2 young boys showing up on a stranger's porch, shivering and covered in blood. The boys, Ricky and Mike, were desperate and tearfully telling the homeowner that their mom needed help.
To see if my mom was still awake or if she was dead, and then I woke my brother up and
You woke your brother up?
yeah, and then I told him we had to go get help, and then we went to go get help.
Police rushed to the scene, where they found a white car abandoned in a ditch. As they approached, their worst fears were confirmed. Inside was the lifeless body of 39-year-old Sarah Tokars. Investigators initially thought it might be a burglary gone wrong. However, as they delved deeper, they found no signs of forced entry and no valuable items missing. The broken lock on the patio door turned out to be pre-existing, making the staged burglary theory less plausible. 6-year-old Ricky and 4-year-old Mike were the only witnesses to their mother's murder, and despite their trauma, Ricky managed to provide crucial information. The investigation quickly turned towards Fred Tokars. As a high-profile attorney, Fred had many enemies and associates in the criminal world. But Fred had an alibi. He was 200 miles away in Alabama. Despite this, suspicion lingered. Sarah had confided in her family about her fears and suspicions regarding Fred. She often found herself answering mysterious hang-up calls and had even discovered a gun hidden under the floorboard of Fred's car, heightening her anxiety. Sarah and Fred's marriage had been troubled for years. Fred, once a district attorney who put the bad guys in jail, had switched to criminal defense, opening his own practice. His new career path was lucrative but also isolating, as Fred spent more time away from home. Sarah, a devoted mother, was increasingly left alone with the kids, growing suspicious of Fred's activities and fidelity. When she found undeniable proof of Fred's infidelity through a private investigator, Sarah's fears were confirmed. Yet, she was not prepared for the full extent of Fred's secret life. Fred was involved in illegal activities, and Sarah discovered incriminating documents that could ruin him. Realizing the danger she and her boys were in, Sarah took the precaution of giving these documents to her sister, Chrissy, instructing her to hand them to the police if anything ever happened to her. Following Sarah's murder, Chrissy handed the documents to the detectives, revealing Fred's illicit dealings.
Sarah told her sisters that she kept these documents as insurance in case they got a divorce and he tried to take custody of the children. Then she was going to use these documents to prove that Fred was into illegal activities.
She gave the papers to my sister Chrissy, and she told Chrissy, if anything happens to me, make sure to take those papers to the police.
However, these documents alone couldn't tie Fred directly to the murder. The police needed more evidence. Fred's behavior during the investigation was peculiar. Despite his outward grief, he was focused on maintaining his lifestyle, even going as far as holding a press conference to deny involvement in Sarah's murder.
Emphatically deny any involvement in my wife's murder, and any suggestion that I might have been involved in any way deeply hurts me. I became very depressed and started to think of the lifestyle that I was losing. Not only my wife, but my whole lifestyle.
The cracks in his facade began to show. The police discovered that Fred had taken out 3 life insurance policies on Sarah, totaling $1.75 million. This was a significant motive, but they still needed concrete evidence linking him to the crime. The breakthrough came when Eddie Lawrence, Fred's business partner, was arrested. Initially tight-lipped, Lawrence eventually confessed under police pressure. He revealed that Fred had hired him to kill Sarah, fearing she knew too much about his illegal activities. Lawrence couldn't go through with it, so he hired Curtis Rower to carry out the heinous act. The night of the murder was horrifying. As Sarah and her boys pulled into their driveway, a man with a gun suddenly appeared. He forced them back into the car with Sarah driving, Ricky in the passenger seat, and Mike asleep in the back. The gunman, Curtis Rower, directed Sarah to drive to a secluded area. Despite Sarah's pleas for their safety, Rower shot her in the head, causing the car to veer off the road into a ditch.
I remember being super uncomfortable in that front seat. Told my mom to drive. My mom started driving. He was doing like a play-by-play, like turn here, turn there. My mom was pleading with him, just let us go. But to be honest, I didn't really know like what was going on. I don't think it was that long of a drive, maybe 10, 15 minutes from the house. We just got to this road, no lights or anything. And I recognized that road because it was the way that we used to drive to our elementary school. And I just remember my mom saying like, don't hurt the boys. And he, shot her. The gun went off, it was just super loud. And in like movies where a bomb goes off and everything's kind of moving slow, I remember the smell of the gunpowder. The guy hopped out of the car and ran. He was gone.
Ricky, in shock, managed to turn off the car and help his brother out. They ran to the nearest house for help. With Eddie Lawrence's confession, police arrested Fred Tokars. The news was a relief to Sarah's family, who feared for the safety of Ricky and Mike. Detectives had to be careful, ensuring the boys were safe before making the arrest. Posing as journalists, they surrounded Fred's location. When Fred stepped outside to confront them, they arrested him without incident. Ricky and Mike were finally safe, but their ordeal was far from over. Curtis Rower's trial required Ricky to relive the traumatic night.
Yeah, but like how you, the first time you hit a home run? Like that, you, always remember that, don't you?
Yeah, it sticks out in your memory, huh?
Yeah, and that's, what it was when my mom...
Brave beyond his years, Ricky testified against Rower, ensuring the hitman was convicted and sentenced to life without parole. Fred Tokars and Eddie Lawrence faced their own trials. With the evidence and Ricky's testimony, both men were convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Fred, the man who orchestrated the murder of his wife and the mother of his children, would never walk free again. After Fred's arrest, Ricky and Mike were raised by their loving grandparents, John and Mary Ambrusco. Despite the trauma, they provided a nurturing and supportive environment for the boys. Ricky grew up to be a compassionate and resilient individual. He dedicated his early career to helping others, working as a lifeguard and EMT. Eventually, he pursued his passion for the ocean, working in the surfing industry. Today, Ricky lives a fulfilling life, surrounded by his family. Her bravery and love protected them from the man who should have been their protector. Fred Tokars took her life, but he couldn't silence her spirit. Through her courage, Sarah ensured justice was served and her boys were safe. Ricky's journey from trauma to triumph is a testament to her enduring love and strength.